Hey, Aaron. Hey, Ashton. Hey, Ashton. Councilmember Ellinger just sent me a text saying he can't get on.
I'll send it to him directly and see if I can help.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Mary.
Hey, I need to get you all on here. I just have me. How do I do that? Let's see here.
Debbie, we had some delicious dinner on Saturday night.
Oh, is that Erin?
Yeah, she picked it.
Good. Great. I'm so glad. We're gonna do it again this week.
Oh, yay. Awesome.
Yeah, this week, Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday, we're just gonna have you pick up on Saturday night because most of it you have to reheat anyway, so.
Yeah.
So how do I get everybody on this? Just me. I just see me. Yeah.
Swipe right.
No.
Do you see little dots down at the bottom?
No. So I'll hit join with video again. Let's see.
Hello.
Can you hear me? I'm trying to see you all.
Look at your little assistant.
Well, hopefully
she
she's not
doing?
gonna be there the whole time.
She's cute as she can be.
Somebody, she's
Hey.
supporting her.
Hello.
That worked.
Hey, Chuck.
Hello.
Hey, Councilmember.
Thank you. I got to work. Thank you.
Very good. You on your meeting, or am I taking it?
No, preferably you would take her.
Okay. And what's your hand? Well, I got a diaper, so I'll wash her downstairs.
Yeah, why don't you wash your hair? Hang on, let me get this.
Oh, there's Weeda.
Hi,
Hello.
Wida.
Hi.
Weeda. I see Weeda.
Oh,
There's
I'll be right
Taylor.
back. Lost my water.
Selma's having trouble getting in. She just texted me.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Dougie.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. How
Hello.
are you?
I'm doing great. Hello, everyone else.
Hello. I'm Debbie. Oh, there's Selma again. Let me see if I can catch her.
Ugh.
All right.
Alrighty, friends. Sorry about that.
Quinn, you're on mute. Are you ready to read your standard language? Tal, before we get kicked off, Quinn has to read something that makes us
Okay.
compliant.
Okay, good.
A little bit of legalese here.
Yep.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency and Governor Beshear's executive orders regarding social distancing, this meeting is being held via teleconference pursuant to Senate Bill 150 as signed by the governor on March 30th, 2020, and Attorney General Opinion 20-05 and in accordance with KRS 61.826, because it's not feasible to offer a primary physical location for the meeting. So thank you very much.
All right. We're ready to get started. It's 1:02.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I believe we should start with intros because I know most everyone here, but not everybody. But let's start there and do intros. And I'll just go kind of like the mayor did and go in the order that I see. So Quinn, if you want to start.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Quinn Welch, aide to the mayor, working with Kevin and Ashton on coordinating this economic response committee that the mayor has put together. So thank you all for being here.
And I'm actually next. My name's Tal Green with Crank and Boom Ice Cream. I am chair of this subcommittee, but really this is just an open discussion just to work on some planning and trying to figure out some benchmarks and some suggestions and different things that we can kind of use our collective IQ together to try and navigate this crazy new world that we're living in. So hope you all are doing okay. It's good to see familiar faces and looking forward to speaking. Oh, there's Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, guys. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Welcome. No, we're good. We're just doing intros right now. So, okay, I have Aaron is next. Aaron from government, Aaron, not Aaron Hilton.
I'm actually from Visit Lex too.
Oh, Visit Lex. I'm sorry. Oh, too many Aarons and too many Visit Lexes.
That's
Sorry about that.
too many errands at Visit Lex. That's true. I'm from Visit Lex and I'm helping Mary Quinn. I'm gonna give myself the temporary title of aide to Mary Quinn because it sounds much cooler than
Yes.
just doing administrative tasks related to this project. So I'm just taking notes.
Awesome. Thank you. Ashton.
Hey, everyone. I'm Ashton Potter Wright. I'm the Director of Local Food and Agricultural Development for the City of Lexington. I am staffing this call, so just helping Quinn and Kevin navigate this. So thank you all for your participation. We really appreciate you taking the time and providing your input.
Mayor Quinn.
Mary Quinn Raymer, Visit Lex. Really pleased to be here with you all today. Eager to hear what you have to say about our collective recovery efforts, and glad those can be underway with some earnestness at this point. Also, just wanted to say a special thanks to Councilmember Ellinger for being on our call today. We appreciate the guidance you're providing as a liaison back to council. I know you guys have a lot of work cut out for you in the next fiscal year, so.
Thank you.
Kevin, I think you're next.
I'm Kevin Atkins. I'm Chief Development Officer in the Mayor's Office.
Wonderful. Councilmember Ellinger.
Chuck Ellinger, I'm an at-large council member and a former restaurant owner. We owned Rogers Restaurant. My family did for 30 years. It was the oldest restaurant in Lexington. Since 1934, we closed our doors in 2004. It's hard to believe that was 16 years ago. And looking forward to being part of the committee. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wida.
I have to say I love Rogers Restaurant.
Well, thank you.
Councilman. My name's Wida Michael. I own 8 restaurants and 2 catering facility locations in Central Kentucky. I'm talking to you from the bar at Holly Hill.
Oh, very nice. Erin Hilton.
Hi, everybody. Erin Hilton, Visit Lex. I'm on the marketing team. Primary responsibilities are the Beyond Grits and Bluegrass Trail initiatives. So I know most of you all personally, and if not, we've been on emails recently, so it's nice to see your faces.
Dougie, you're next.
Hey, everyone. My name's Dougie Allen. My wife and I, along with another partner, we own Creole downtown Lexington. We are more bar than restaurant, but we do serve some food. And we've owned Creole for about 2.5 years now. In addition to that, I'm a Papa John's pizza franchisee. I've been doing that for 15 years. Our restaurant locations are not in Lexington, but we're in some surrounding states and, kind of all over the place. But I'm glad to be on this call with you all and looking forward to learning more about how we can all win together.
Good. Miss Debbie.
Hi, it's Debbie Long, and I am the owner of Dudley's on Short, and just anxious to hear what everybody has to say.
Brian, you're next.
Hi, Brian McCarty from Bluegrass Hospitality Group, Malone's, Harry's, and Drake's. And thanks for having me on this group. And we are excited to get back at things. Opened 4 Drake's in Tennessee about 10 days ago. We really like what we've seen as it relates to reopening, and looking forward to getting our Lexington spots open the end of next week.
And Daniel.
I'm Daniel Marlowe, and my wife and I own Whiskey Bear in the Summit, in the barn in the Summit, and we're very grateful to be a part of this. So thank you for including us. And we are not a restaurant at all. We don't do food, so it's been very interesting to kind of wonder how this is going to roll into the bars as well. So yeah, thank you for having us as a part.
All right. Well, thank you everybody again for being a part of this. I am honored and just feel really fortunate to be on this call with such a conglomerate of superstars in the restaurant world here in Lexington and in other places. So thank you all for your time. We're going to try to end the call at 2 just for the sake of respecting everyone's time. I do want to go ahead and read. There's basically 3 questions that the mayor is asking for us to produce recommendations on. And I just want to read those just so we can kind of stay focused on our discussion today. I think mostly today we're just going to talk about how people are feeling about things and any suggestions and anything that will help us work towards answering these questions for the mayor. So the first one is, what are your plans for reopening, and what are the benchmarks / guidelines for reopening? I think that'll be interesting because I assume the governor is going to come out with some sort of recommendations as well, Mary Quinn or Quinn. I'm not sure if that's, I assume that's going to be the case, and that are we discussing things that are Lexington specific, or what do you all think in terms of what we need to come up with?
Yeah, Tal, that's a great point. The governor's already come out with some of those benchmarks, and we can discuss those. But part of the idea also is to discuss things that, as restaurant and bar owners, that you all know that some things that should be addressed moving forward, because this report will be submitted to the governor as well. So those things could be inform his decision making moving forward, because we all know this is a very fluid situation and things are changing. So.
Okay. So the second question is, what do businesses, organizations in your sector need to do to reopen safely under the governor's rules? And then the third question is, what is your process for scaling back operations while safely maintaining operations in the event that we face a second wave of COVID-19? So I don't know, anybody want to jump in and just give some reactions on the governor's allowing us to reopen to in-person business? I think it's on the 22nd, is that what it said?
Yes, it is. It's May 22nd.
Okay.
I think.
Quick housekeeping, sorry. If you're not speaking, if you wouldn't mind muting your line so that there's a little bit of feedback. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you.
I'm Selma, I'm on now.
Hi, Selma. We just did some intros, so if you want to introduce yourself to everybody, we would love
Selma
that.
Owens from Selma's Catering.
All right, thank you. Yeah, anybody want to jump in on just general reactions on how they're feeling about reopening? I heard Brian saying that he was ready and anxious, and any other thoughts thus far?
Well, what we've experienced in Tennessee is, quite frankly, more than we anticipated. And so we're really excited that, that people are coming out, obviously, and there seems to be some demand. But my biggest question is, how can we safely operate because at the end of the day, it's not about how we rebound and what the sales look like nearly as much as how can we be safe and operate and keep employees and customers alike comfortable and safe. And what we're hearing out of Tennessee is that they have a 50% restriction in Tennessee. In Ohio, it is 6 feet separation between tables. So in Ohio, they're not saying, hey, what's your fire code? They're just saying, hey, as long as everybody's 6 feet separated by between tables, then you're okay. And I am advocating for if you think about where all the crowds come and where you're not going to be safe, it's at your front door, in your lobbies, and at your bar as people are standing up. So when people are in restaurants, they are sitting down. And what I've heard in Tennessee is they're doing screening outside, whether it's questions, whether it's taking temperatures, and then once clear, you go in. Bottom line is things are very safe once you're at a table and there is not a lot of congregating going on. You need to keep the folks that are waiting for a table outside, and obviously you can't have 30, 40, 50 people milling around bars with drinks and socializing. So as long as you keep the people that are waiting for tables out of the buildings, I think it is very safe, and from what we're hearing in Tennessee right now. And it's not as much about a percentage, although we're going to start at 33%. It's not as much about a percentage as being safely social distance between tables with at least 6 feet separation between tables.
Hey, Brian, in Tennessee, is there a limit to how many people can be sitting at the tables or who you're sitting with? I mean, obviously you can't police.
We operate in 5 states, and I'm getting my states confused, but I believe Tennessee is 8 people max. And I've heard in every state there's a table max, and I'm hearing anything around typically it's 8 to 10 people.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I have a question that I've been trying to puzzle over, Brian, and is warewashing. Because I mean, at like Honeywood and at Holly Hill and at Zim's, you know, those dirty plates and things have to come back through a portion of the kitchen, not through the whole kitchen, obviously, but there's a trajectory through part of the kitchen to warewashing. And I'm concerned about the transportation of dirty plates and silverware through the dining room and into warewashing. And I don't know enough about, like, I do know that the corona can survive in certain contexts and stuff like that. And I just wondered how you all were handling that at some of your establishments that have reopened, how you handle the transportation of dirty wares into dishwashing safely through the dining room and through that aisle in the kitchen, and how your team handles that. Obviously, you can go through glove changes, everybody's masked up, but that's been one of my concerns.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of tabletop, everything's bare. We're doing salt and pepper on request. You know, table tents are gone. Everything's off the tables. We're going to disposable menus. But as far as warewashing goes, you know, you're going from point A to point B. I have not given a tremendous amount of thought to, you know, and I haven't been in our 4 Tennessee restaurants personally, but I would suspect that you know, we're going from the table to dish with not pass and go, or you know. But I will look into that with our ops folks in Tennessee and get back with you, Wida.
That'd be great. I'd love any advice. Like, it may not be a problem. I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking of as we think about points of cross-contamination between our staff and the virus. I feel like the customers actually are going to be kind of easy to keep safer than the staff. I mean, the staff are set up to
honestly, that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing and hearing. Literally, I mean, it is like an eerie calm in these restaurants in Tennessee. You know, on Friday and Saturday night, literally at 50% capacity, it's an eerie calm, and everybody's just sitting down. Nobody's in the lobby, nobody's in the bar, and everyone is outside, either in their car or on the plaza or on the sidewalks, waiting to be called in. And it's an eerie calm. So I'm getting the sense that the customers are extremely safe, being seated at a table. We were trying to figure out whether we were going to need restroom attendants, and the restrooms are not getting, our restrooms, are used to having 200 plus people in the building at one time. And now we're down to, less than 100, and the restrooms aren't getting hammered. Nothing's getting hammered. Everybody's just sitting at a table, and there's not a lot of congregating going on. And I agree with you. I think it's more about our folks than the customers. There's more risk on the employees than the customers. And that's a great point you bring up.
Brian, two questions. One, are you guys opening your bar area at all, or are you doing table service only? And my second question is, are they in any of your states, are they requiring staff to wear face masks?
I have not heard of any state requiring face masks. Oh. No, in Tennessee, we are wearing masks.
Okay.
Although that's our choice. I believe they are optional in Tennessee. But I think they're mandatory. I think that is a state by state thing, and I've seen it fall both ways. Our employees are all wearing masks. They're all wearing gloves. When it comes to the customer, that is optional in all the states we're operating in. As far as bars go, in terms of seating, 90% of restaurants are closing down their bars. In Tennessee, you are allowed to seat at bars, but you have to social distance. And I'm hearing that most restaurants have elected to use their bar tops for carryout staging. But we are familiar with two or three that we sampled on this weekend that are seating their bars, but they have, there's 6 foot separation in between the patrons.
Mary Quinn, I think you were saying something.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to trip over you, Brian. Apologize about that. I was just going to say, so I know that the National Restaurant Association put forth some benchmark guidelines to shape, I guess, the conversation about reopening. And I'm curious if you all have looked at those, if those seem reasonable to expect here at the local level, if they jive with what, Brian, you've already had the opportunity to do in Tennessee and Ohio. Because I think
80%, there's 80 to 90% overlap between the NRA guidelines and what we're seeing in Tennessee and Ohio. And I would advocate those guidelines in Lexington and Kentucky as a whole.
Okay, that's very helpful, because I do have those guidelines and can make sure that we use those as a framework for what we're gonna, layer in at the Lexington level. So that's helpful.
You have those in front of you. Are you able to pull it up and just share some of those guidelines?
Yeah. Give me just a second. Let me exit out of the full screen. I'll be right back.
I guess one of my concerns is, like, how do you have a dishwasher that's not in full PPE? I mean, how are you busing all this dirty warewashing back to a dish station with 1 or 2 people back there washing dishes and they're not in a face mask and body gown? I mean, to me, that seems like that's full exposure to every person who comes in your restaurant. I don't know. I just don't know how you keep somebody safe in a dish room like that.
I think you would.
That to me is the heart of the whole restaurant sanitation process, is that warewashing station. At least when that goes south in our restaurant, man, the whole damn restaurant goes south. So I felt like I needed to start there to make sure that we had and I haven't seen anything in the NRA guidelines about it. And just trying to get my head around that part of it.
Well, I mean, personally, I think if you're going to have anyone protected, it's definitely going to be those folks because, like you say, they are interacting with everyone's dishes. So, I would recommend that the dish folks would wear the mask and gloves, and whatever else would make them feel comfortable. It is. And we see it in Papa John's. If we have a positive test, we have to shut down or find new employees. Well, most of us aren't going to be able to find new employees, so that means we're closed. So that is definitely, from that standpoint, we have to protect our teams at all costs. And I think, starting with your concern in the dish area is probably the place to have the most care, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, even if you put dishes in, if you had the bus tubs that had some type of sanitizing water in the bus tubs, and that way at least you're getting those dishes hit with some sanitizer or some type of solution before they even make it back to the dish area.
That's a good idea.
Just want to point out just real quick, in the governor's minimum requirements for all entities for Healthy at Work, there is a section, it's number 5, universal mask and any other PPE. It says businesses, organizations, and entities must ensure to the greatest extent practicable that their employees, volunteers, and contractors wear a cloth mask. A business, organization, or an entity need not require an employee, volunteer, or contractor to wear a mask when masking would create a serious health or safety hazard to the employee. When the employee is working alone in an enclosed space, or when the employee is working alone in an area with more than 6 feet of social distancing. Businesses and organizations shall provide PPE at no cost to employees and should offer instruction on proper use of masks and other PPE. So just wanted to throw that out there.
So I have a question, and you may have already covered this, if I may. What about, are you at the restaurants when people come in, they're seated by a hostess? Are you putting up plexiglass like where that hostess station is? How much plexiglass are you all using? You're going to be serving outside a lot, as am I. How much plexiglass are you putting up to protect the customer from the order person?
Right now, we don't let anybody inside, like at Wallace Station, we're doing.
But we don't either, but we're going to.
Oh, we're not going to at Wallace.
Okay.
Small, and we can't ensure the safety of our staff or our guests, and no amount of plexiglass is going to solve the space issues at Wallace. But at Windy Corner, we're going to open Windy Corner up. We're hoping to open, on the 22nd at least. But we may not have much seating inside, and we are going to plexiglass that entire front little counter where we have our cash register there. That's just not quite possible at Wallace, but at Windy, we have a little bit double doors and we have a little bit more flexibility. So we will be doing that, but it'd probably be like a 4-foot expanse.
Okay.
And I would think it's going to be 4x3 maybe. But I can take a picture of it, Selma, and send it to you.
Okay. Thank you. We just are trying to figure out logistics for the cafe, which doesn't do a ton of business, but there are people that are waiting to come in. So we're just trying to figure out the best way to do it.
We're going to focus on outside seating, both at Wallace Station, Holly Hill Inn, and Windy Corner first.
Right. Well, we're going to be doing Ashland Park, which is all outside seating. So I'm not worried about that nearly as much as this little space right here. Okay. That answers my question about plexiglass. Thank you.
Debbie, I'm curious for you and Dougie downtown, how does the outdoor seating conversation resonate with you all?
Mute. Well, we're limited, obviously, because of the sidewalk cafe license that we have. We're only limited to so many tables and chairs. We're hoping that the city might be a little forgiving on that and let us extend out a little bit if we can get okays from our neighbors to maybe extend a little bit into their sidewalk. Also, I'm going to talk with Terry Sweeney today, maybe the possibility, of course, we're downtown, is closing some of the streets on Friday and Saturday night to possibly be able to move some tables out into the, into the road. Any way we can try to figure out how to get from 33 to 100% or 33 to 50% or 33 to something. Of course, it's all weather permitting. As we know, it's 50 degrees and it's May, so we have no clue, And we wonder too, if you get everybody seated outside and it starts raining and you've got your 33% full inside, what do you do with those people? I mean, that's always been a concern when you have outdoor seating, and how storms can pop up here. So I don't see any business downtown. There's no business downtown. So we're probably not going to open for lunch until we see the hotels and business coming back downtown. And I don't know, we don't know. We don't know. We're just hoping that the city will work with us a little bit on letting us expand a little bit on the seating, because the way the seating is now, I could probably only do 2 or 3 tables on the sidewalk that I have because of the 6-foot separation.
Yeah, there's really nothing for me to add to that. I mean, that's pretty much echoes my opinions as well.
Debbie, if I can jump in on on 2 of your points. First of all, we've already asked the law department and the planning division to take a look at the sidewalk issue around restaurants and see if there was a way to be able to have some flexibility and expand there. So I think hopefully this week sometime they'll have a final answer what we can do about it. The second issue is the street issue. Nancy Albright and I are already working on that. We've had a couple of councilmen mention it. We've taken a look at what Cincinnati and Tampa, others are doing. So it's something we want to do. And the mayor just asked at noon today, she asked the governor if he would work with us on that as well, since many of our streets, not short, but many of the others are.
Yeah, Maine, yeah. And I know, but what about?
And he promised he would. So those discussions are already.
Can I ask another question? Right now, parking is a 2-hour limit, but there's no cost to it because obviously there's nobody downtown. Would they be able to possibly keep that going once we open, or even have it from 4 o'clock on, start the free parking at 4 o'clock? Any way we can, the parking issue, because we're probably not gonna be able to do valet. I can't imagine, you're not gonna get a guy getting in your car. So we struggle with that now, and we can't discourage anybody by, once again, parking has always been an issue, but if we can make it as attractive as possible for our customers, like I said, because I don't know how some restaurants that rely totally on valet, how it's going to work if the city doesn't help us with parking.
We can take a look at it.
Thank you.
So Tal, sorry, you're muted. I was just going to say, I have forwarded the National Restaurant Association guidelines, the PDF, guides for reopening, to Ashton, and we'll make sure that everybody has a direct link to that. I'm sure many of you have already been doing it. It breaks it down into the safety of your employees, sanitation, social distancing, a lot of the things that we're seeing across all industry sectors. I just need sort of a collective thumbs up or nod of the group if that seems like a base starting point for Lexington, that we're all pretty comfortable with what the NRA is suggesting as a means for reopening. Okay.
I'm good with that. I guess just to share sort of our thought process, I'm along the same lines as Weta. Both of our locations are so small that it would be very hard to social distance. So at least for the immediate immediate future, we're going to stay with just what we're doing, mostly for us to buy some time to kind of see what happens with everybody else, with other states, as well as just, just buying ourselves some time to figure it out. Does anybody else have other plans that they've already set in place or are thinking that they feel like they want to share, just so we can collectively see what each other's doing?
Can I ask, and I don't know that we know this yet, because I know we don't know if there's restrictions on how many you can have at a table, but say if someone wanted to rent a room, and say my upstairs capacity is with 33%, let's just say it's 15 people. Could 15 people rent out our space, or 20 people rent out the space? And do the tables have to be 6 feet apart? Can they congregate and have a drink if they're all one group? Does anybody have any idea? Because I've already had people call and say, I want to do a private function. It's only 10 of us or 12 of us. Can we do it? And I was like, I really don't know yet. I don't know, because they would be milling around, like Brian was saying, the way we can control it is to get them seated. But if you have a private party, most people are standing around. Of course, they're all know each other. Maybe not. I mean, I would think they'd be family and friends, but I just don't know I don't know how to answer those questions right now, which I'm receiving.
We're the same boat, because we have our event space that holds up to about 50 people. But yeah, I think, because the governor had come out with some guidelines that said by, I think the 25th, you could have groups of 10. But what does that mean? Does that mean we can all, hang out and hug each other? Does that mean we all have to be in mass and we have to be 6 feet apart together? So it would be nice to add that to our list of questions for some clarity on what that actually means.
Now we can reach out to the governor's office for some clarification on that as well. I think that's a great question, and it's part of the I think it's part of the task of this committee to kind of answer some of those questions that folks aren't real clear about. So I think that's a great point.
Well, go ahead, Debbie.
Well, I was just going to say, when he announced on Thursday, which I think we were all a little shocked, but when he continues to point to the 10 guidelines, well, those 10 guidelines are they're specific and vague in the same realm, because they're vague for restaurants. They're specific for individuals and how you conduct yourself. But so he keeps pointing at those 10, which some relate, some don't. So I know that that we've started out with the discussion that we're hoping to get some guidelines, but I just hope he doesn't go back to those 10 and say, just here they are. And I hope this committee will help walk him through what our concerns, and I know that's what you're doing, but it's still, I just feel like he is not taking in consideration the hospitality industry and how we are not, we are smarter than I think he gives us credit for. We deal with health issues with our staff and health departments. We've done it, we have inspections. So I hope that he gives us a little bit of credit of being able to make decisions that are, it's just like what Weta says, we do not want to jeopardize our employees, our customers, our purveyors, anybody that walks in our door. But I hope he gives us a little bit of credit for our sensitivity to that.
So Debbie, I'll just pop in and say, I hear you and agree 110%. And by virtue of just a couple of different conversations that I had over the weekend, I do think we'll be getting some clarification on guidance. I think the governor had a big priority today with respect to Maine. So that's where a lot of his efforts have been focused, is getting those plants back up and running. I personally am getting off of this call about 5 minutes early so that I can get on a call with the governor's staff charged with reopening industries.
Good.
And conversation is specific to the hospitality industry. And we'll be conveying a lot of those assurances that in many ways we're already a very regulated industry. We already have standards that promote safety and wellness. And I certainly expect we'll be getting some clarifications from him prior to that date
Okay, this is another question that needs to be included in that. So you have a space and you're allowed to have 25 people in this space. Does that include all the servers? So Debbie, if
It's on
somebody
my
wants to,
list.
yeah, if
It's on my
somebody has
list.
a party of 10, does that include 2 servers? I mean, there you
Well,
go.
then that basically takes me, I get no customers, basically.
Well, I'm just saying,
I
we
know, I
need
know.
clarification on that. That's the
Exactly.
biggest clarification. Because weddings, all of a sudden it takes a guest count from 75 down to 50.
Yeah. One other thing that this has always been my little beef on this thing, or that they talk about manufacturing companies, and they're all concerned, that's what we do. We manufacture a perishable product. We spend anywhere from 17 hours a day with people in our operations to manufacture this perishable product. But our difference is we have about 4 to 5 hours to sell it. We can't stick it on a shelf, close it down on Friday and come in on Monday morning and sell that same product at the same price. So he has to be sensitive to this, to the 33%. We can't run our business at 33%. It doesn't work. Our model doesn't work. And we only have such a short period of time to sell it. So I hope he understands that. And I think he does, but I want him to understand that we also are a manufacturing industry.
I think Debbie brings up a good point, and I think that's where we're trying to get to with this. And so it may be easier if you all want to send Quinn the suggested points that you think need to be looked at as far as reopening, because over the weekend, Quinn and I are going to be writing this for the mayor to take a look at and send out on Monday. So on a compressed time frame, it might be easier if you just want to send those suggestions in so we can make sure that everything gets included.
Okay.
I want to make the last point I think that should be made to the governor is, along with the capacity, is that I think that the restaurant industry is one of the most flexible industries. I feel like we've demonstrated that over the and most of us have built this infrastructure for online order and sale and takeout now. And this would address Tal's second question. What are the plans for scaling back and another shutdown? Pretty small. Even Brian, who's huge, each individual restaurant that they're operating still has the capacity for autonomous operation inside BHG, I'm sure. So, we can all shut down and have shut down. We shut down essentially overnight dining rooms. So if we see spikes in the future, it's not that I want to do this and I'm not recommending it, but I feel confident in my ability to navigate that now. I feel like I can shut down and pivot to online sales and I'm going to keep that on all those online stores open. I'm going to keep curbside open. I feel like we all are. We're going to have to in order to make it. We're going to continue to refine takeout so that if we have to shut dining rooms down again, we'll be able to pivot again. I think if we can offer some assurances on that pivot, we might be able to increase occupancy a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So if we could go up to 50%, and I guess I don't really understand the difference of the 17% between 33% and 50%. I'm with Debbie on that. I don't get that percentage difference. So it might make more sense to take a 50% occupancy, or like what Brian was saying, which is the spatial rule of 6 feet between guests rather than an arbitrary number. And you submit the floor plan or something like that to the health department. I'm not exactly sure how you do all that stuff, but we might be able to increase occupancy slightly during this depressed time of the virus, because we have such good strategies for pivoting if we have to.
I think one thing I'd like to also bring up, where we are bar only, and since we are not set up, we don't have a kitchen at all, and we're not set up for food. We have, Flo and I have talked a lot about, pivoting and adding some sort of food component to be allowed to do the cocktails to go, which I know that they've relaxed the restrictions on. But for bars, especially mid-sized bars that don't have a huge dining room, our entire revenue is around people congregating. And so if we cannot allow people to congregate the same way, we would love for there to at least be an exploration of relaxing the rules to allow bars that don't serve food to do cocktails to go. That's, we've talked about bringing in, pre-made sandwiches or something like that to offer kind of meal kits with cocktails. But truth be told, it's not our business model, but it's also, we wouldn't be able to do that on a quality level as, those restaurants that have full kitchens. And so it's not an apples to apples thing. And so that's one of our big concerns is if we have to limit it to 33% or even 50%, our business model just doesn't work at all. And I'm sure most restaurants feel the same way. We can scale our staff back a little bit more because we don't have the kitchen staff. But that's been one that we've been really hoping that would be addressed or at least explored from a bar perspective.
Why is it different for bars? If you're in a restaurant eating and you're spaced apart, why is it different from a bar that is you're drinking, you're just not eating? If you're still adhering to the distance guidelines, why would it be any different?
Yeah, I think part of it is, we're fortunate in the Summit that we have the entertainment district, so people can walk around and have a beverage there already. But the real challenge for us is it's our square footage. We have a small space. We do have a patio that hopefully our landlord will allow us to utilize and set up in a way that works. But we only have a 50-seat capacity right now. And if, like most of you, I'm sure we do a high percentage of our sales between Friday and Saturday nights. And so if we're doing over 50% of our sales 2 nights of the week, but we're only allowed to operate at 30 to 50% capacity, that drastically limits our potential for revenue. So, and unless we, I don't know, I don't see people's drinking or eating habits changing that drastically, where they're going to go out more on a weeknight now because they have to socially distance than they would on a Friday or Saturday, especially now that people are getting back to work. So these are just discussions that we've had, and I would love feedback from any of you. Obviously, I think we're the only one in here right now that doesn't serve food at all. And maybe that's the necessity, that we have to create an option for food, but completely changing our business model would be really hard right now, so that we don't have the physical space to build a kitchen in our space.
I didn't want to make a comment too, just about, beyond the actual operations on, and this would reflect our Visit Lex friends and also the city, on how you promote when restaurants are open again. One thought I had was, you all have the Beyond Grits guide. Is there an online version you can do that will help highlight who's open and who's not? Because that's one thing that will help, because so many people, there's so many options and you only follow so many people on social media. So if there's some one centralized place that would stay updated fairly frequently with what the options are, I think that's going to be the big challenge when people are open, because are you open for this? Are you open for that? Well, we're doing the same thing. Well, now we're going to offer this. I think that would be helpful in part of the recovery, just to get the message out to everybody on how, who's open and how we're open and where people can go. I know a lot of folks that were open this weekend got completely slammed.
Tao? Tao, you froze. Are you good?
Somebody open? Was someone open this weekend?
Not for in person, just for curbside.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I mean. I saw someone from Texas Roadhouse say they served 2,000 people just from curbside. Yeah.
Tao, we've been talking to Janet Patton about putting together some sort of list. We've already got our COVID-19 resource page for restaurants, carry out, curbside, gift cards. We started that right at the beginning. And add to it still daily. It doesn't matter who. Beyond Grits has traditionally been unique to Lexington, locally owned spots, but this is something we've never experienced, and we want to be good partners to everyone. So anyone who has sent us a link to their what they're doing right now, we have posted on that page. And then we spoke to Janet Friday about that, the governor's previous day's news and how we would move forward. And she wants to work with us and we want to work with her on putting together a list of who's going to be opening. So we're just looking, she's got it out there on some of her Facebook private groups and public groups, and we'll be working on that and posting it.
That's great. Yeah, there also there was a group, I think Lex Unite also had a website that had a collective, and I know Janet's doing a lot of work just trying to keep people posted and updated on what is going on. What are some other concerns you all have with reopening? And I know I've had a hard time reconciling that 33%, like you said, what's the difference between 33% and 50%? Neither really works for the restaurant model because we all thrive on bringing lots of people together, and that's the opposite of what we're being allowed to do. So I don't know how this all kind of comes together, you know?
Well, to your point, we're all talking about restaurants and opening and 33%. I have no business until next year. Every wedding I have is now in 2021. So I am really concerned about the hospitality aspect of it, and when people can congregate more than 50 people, more than 75 people, at least 100 people. And there's so many outdoor spaces in Lexington and surrounding counties. It's not a problem to find the space. It's just a matter of the restrictions and how do you, I don't know, if you don't do it in a space, people are going to do it in their backyard. So I don't understand what the difference is. If he honestly thinks people who want to get married and want to have a party are not going to do it, he's wrong. They're going to do it. And if you're a responsible person, you're going to make sure that people adhere to the guidelines more than somebody who's just going to do it in their backyard. And that's a problem for me. That's a big problem for me.
Yeah.
And everybody who does what I do for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. I think WIDA and I know us, we have lost a huge chunk because we live on events, we live on festivals, and we live on catering, and
right.
We've taken a tremendous hit. And when money's not coming in and all you're doing is sending refund checks, it's really hits you hard in the core.
I mean, I guess I've been trying Selma too to think like buffets are dead. So, how are we going to serve when we get back to the events business, what it will look like. And I don't know if Fazig Tipton's having their July sale. I think they want to move forward with it, but I'm trying to figure out how to do food service in that context. I don't know if Railbird is canceled yet. Or are they still having their festival? Food service look like there? I see Quinn's face. She's probably navigating that right now. And, what happens in September? What are we going to do about Breeders' Cup? I mean, I guess these are a lot of the uncertainties that we're facing as a community. Are these flagship events going to happen? And if they do, what do they look like? And how do we navigate those? But yeah, it is concerning. I mean, we do all the food service for Woodford Reserve Distillery. I know that, I haven't received any word from Brown-Forman on their reopening yet. So I know that I'll get a several weeks heads up. So I think that the fact that I haven't heard anything,
right,
that, it could be a symbol that we're not going to reopen this year, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if that distillery did not reopen to visitors, except maybe on a very limited VIP basis or something like that in the fall. But I guess none of us can see that far ahead. But I share your concern. What does this look like for these large hospitality events that have become signature events for us, for our whole community, not just for me or you, but for everybody?
Yeah. Well, we did a wedding a week. We didn't want to do it. We thought that they were going to cancel and they didn't. And it was a wedding for about 200 people. And it was a buffet, but we covered, no one could physically touch anything. We had, each person was masked and gloved, and we served every plate and just sent it down to the end of the line, and they took it and went back to their seat. There was not a problem with that. Everybody understood, nobody cared, but we were constantly changing gloves and having people just rotate in and out from that buffet line to serve them. And there was no way that anybody could touch or sneeze or get to that food at all, except us. But that's not a good answer. That was something that we just had to happen because we knew it had to happen. And this was before anything was shut down. But it's going to be, that's going to be the biggest concern, I think, is how to serve it, how to do it when we come back.
Yeah, I know, on the catering side, there's a lot of discussion about buffets and what future they will hold. It's going to be more of a grab and go, at least in this interim. So there's so many questions to be answered for sure. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to brainstorming with us, and I certainly would reiterate to each of you, if you have specific questions, if you could send those to Ashton and Quinn and myself, then we can make sure that we develop a running list of things that we need clarification on, and that is something that we can certainly make sure that we include as a part of our blueprint and also in our ongoing conversations as we look to reopen these various industry sectors. And, you know, Debbie, I appreciate your point so much about talking about us as very much a part of workforce development and keeping people gainfully employed and making a real difference. And so I certainly will continue carrying that message any opportunity that I get. If you have, so we're definitely going to be using the National Restaurant Association guidelines as a benchmark, but if you have any other best practices that you are implementing for your teams that you want to share, we would really appreciate that. I know we've got a tight timeline this week. Quinn, I might ask you to comment on whether or not you think we need to get the group back together before the end of the week.
Yeah, I think, you know, with what we've been doing for some of these other subcommittees, we've kind of agreed to build out what the final document kind of looks like, and let the chair either let the chair build it out or have staff work with the chair to kind of build it out. And if the chair feels like we need another meeting, we can go ahead and have another meeting to kind of flesh that draft out. But if not, if the chair feels comfortable with that document once it's been produced, we can go ahead and move forward. What we can do, though, is we could go ahead and put a hold on for another meeting just in case we decide we need to meet, just because time is so limited and we only have a certain number of spots left available. Tal, what are your thoughts on that?
You're speaking to the girl who hates meetings, so I'm going to vote to not have another meeting, but because everyone has such a unique business within this group, I think we've been able to cover a lot of the kind of unifying questions and clarifications that need to happen. But I don't know that we need to get together in this format again. But I think everyone, now that we've kind of gotten a little bit of a framework on where we're coming from, we can individually, you can email me or you can email Mary Quinn or Quinn, any other specific clarification. So when do they need to get that question to you all before? Is that Friday? You're putting something together?
Yeah, so we really need our final document sent in by Friday at noon. So anything that anybody has, they can send it to Ashton, and then we'll kind of filter it up that way. So send those to Ashton.
If you guys could, if you could get it in by Wednesday afternoon, close of business, that would give us a day to work with it. As Quinn mentioned, we've got a deadline of noon on Friday. And so we're trying to, you know, make sure that we present the mayor with a really solid work product. So a little bit of time in between receiving and some editing and that kind of stuff would be appreciated.
Yep.
Can I ask one more quick question? I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
real quick question. Debbie, Weta, anybody who has a fine dining restaurant or where people come in and sit down, are you letting them come in and sit down and be there for an hour and 20 minutes? Are you setting a restriction so you can turn your tables? How are you doing this?
Well, we're not sure yet. We think that, I think I mentioned that we probably aren't going to open for lunch until we see the business, and we may try to do 3 seatings, maybe a 4 o'clock, which you probably wouldn't get much, a 6:30, and an 8:30, when we have restrictions on how many people we can have in. If they change the restrictions to 6 feet, then that changes it. We can go to more traditional reservations where it's a little more staggered. But if I have to maximize my 33%, then I have to do it almost in an organized seating timeline. So I can get 33% in at, within an hour period, get them up, move them in an hour and a half or 2, and then reset, sanitize, reset. And maybe when the customers kind of looks at you crazy when their time's up, just might say that, well, we're going to take the time to sanitize and clean for the next guest that comes in. And hopefully they would understand that. I just want to ask one more quick question. Is anyone having any issues getting your PPP supplies?
I ordered from the chamber. I ordered paper masks from the Chamber of Commerce, and they should be in today or tomorrow.
You mean the $1 disposable masks that I got, the box that's this big? Yeah. And I went, oh gosh, and this is going to last me maybe 1 shift.
Okay,
So-
Debbie, I have a source who
Okay.
call me after and
I will.
I'll give you his
Okay, so-
name. And
Yeah,
he's got everything in the world. He's got black masks, disposable masks, permanent masks, things that you can take home and wash, all the gloves that you would ever want, all that kind
Okay.
of stuff. He's got it.
Thank you. Thanks,
Send
Selma.
that out, Selma. What are you just?
Okay, no, I'll be happy to give you. I'll do
It's
it
a
right now.
family member, you know that.
No, it's not a family member. It's
black
not.
market.
It's not. Hold on a second. I'll give it to you.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll call you.
No. I don't mind sharing. He needs the business. Listen, this is a guy who shifted his business from festival T-shirts to masks,
Yeah.
gloves, and you name it. And he's on it. He's a great guy. He's just shifted everything, and he's one of those true entrepreneurs that's figured out a way to make his business work.
Do we have any idea if I mean, this is going on a whole nother direction, which I need to stop now, but I'm just going to put it out there real quick. So anybody that got the loans for our businesses, can we include any of these? Do we have any idea if we can include any of these additional costs in that as a potential in the 25%? It seems like you should.
I had this conversation with Kelly last night, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can talk about it. We'll talk about it.
I know.
But it seems like there's a lot of additional costs that we're going to occur. And can we write that off in that loan piece?
I don't think they thought that far.
I don't think they did.
And nobody even has the rules yet, so we could probably write that into the rules if we wanted to.
I think we're gonna write that into the rules.
Okay, his name is Griggs, Griggs Powell, Powell.
Oh, I know Griggs.
You know Griggs. Okay, his number is 533-0431.
Perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I just want to add a couple of things. I've been trying to, I know Quinn has been involved and so has Kevin in all these, and I've tried to listen to as many as I could before I got to this one. And I know Commerce Lexington is having a clearinghouse for the CDC. For the website's going to have the requirements. They're going to have their PPEs. So that might be something that we could do for the restaurant business and the hospitality is try to have a clearinghouse. And maybe it's going to be through Visit Lex, but I think it would be helpful. One of the other issues that was raised that when we send this in is a health point person, because one of the issues that was brought up is HIPAA laws and what comes with that. So that was just one thing that was raised. And I saw where the Owensboro mayor was doing what Debbie was trying to do, that we can look with the city is trying to maybe close roads. So one of the things that the governor's allowed is more outdoor seating, which is all well and good as long as the weather's nice, which was brought up. But something that the city can try to do with the license, because being in the restaurant business, I'm trying to put myself in where you all were and trying to figure out how I could make a restaurant go when mine was on volume and 33%, it just makes it very difficult to try to make it worth opening. So those are some of the things I've just noticed. And the way that you train with the PPEs. I know Brian's doing that. With the larger one, you have more resources to do that, but to help the smaller ones out on how you're doing your point person, because the safety of the servers, of the people, are going to be just as important as it is going to be the people that we are serving. And if you get a positive on an employee, that's probably going to close down your restaurant. So safety has to be such a key in this situation. Thank you.
Chuck, thank you for saying that. That was my last point that I was just going to ask really quickly is I have not seen anything yet as far as a protocol for if and when you have a staff member test positive. And I think as you know, we will see this in our individual stores, you know, as everybody, all the medical professionals that I've talked to or read about have said that, you know, it's not that the spike is that the disease is going away. It's just going to spread it out right now. So people are still going to be getting sick. I would love to see some sort of protocol of, you know, what steps need to be taken if and when a staff member tests positive, because most of the small restaurant businesses, if they're forced to close down for 2 weeks because they have one staff member test positive, I mean, that could be the final nail in the coffin. And so, you know, I would love to explore that at least, or have the committee or the mayor's office explore, you know, what that looks like. What are the steps that we can take to ensure that the rest of our staff are safe, but that we also don't have to make our entire staff quarantine for 2 weeks. If we do, you know, businesses are going to close. And if that's the case, is there anything that the city or the state can do to help bolster the businesses so that they will not have to shut their doors for good because one person on staff, you know, tested positive?
So Daniel, that's something that we've dealt with in our Papa John's business. And the best thing that we could come up with, and obviously Papa John's is a big company, so there's all type of guidelines there. Most of it's coming straight from the CDC as far as the relationships of your staff if someone tests positive or if someone gets sick. So a lot of that stuff is pretty much out there on the CDC website. But one of the things that we considered in our restaurants is not having, basically having 2 different shifts of employees. So if you do have someone test positive, it knocks out a shift. It doesn't knock out the whole staff, where right now everyone typically works together. But if that is a big concern, then to have kind of like 2 different shifts where these 2 different groups of people don't work together. That way, if one shift does go down, you at least can stay open.
So I have a question to that point. So are you taking people's temperatures, your staff's temperatures, before they enter the building? So if they have a temperature, you send them home before they walk in?
We have not had to do that. Some states are starting that as we're reopening, because we never had to shut down. It was more questioning, you know, it's like, hey, if you've been sick, don't come to work is really the most that we've done.
But now, aren't we supposed to be taking temps of all our employees when they come in?
That is, in my understanding, that is new as of maybe today. So it's not a bridge that we've crossed, because we've been open the whole time. We never closed down. We never took temperatures or any of that stuff. So that's something that I'm still getting advice on and clarification on going forward. And I haven't gotten the answer just yet.
Yeah, just to jump in the governor's healthy at work guidelines, it's number 9. It says conduct daily temperature and health checks. Entities must require employees to undergo daily temperature and health checks. These checks may be either self-administered or administered by the entities prior to workplace entry. And having worked with some of these other subcommittees, what a lot of them are doing, and it says in the governor's guidelines, is they're doing self-administered checks, and they're creating affidavits for employees to sign, stating that they are complying and doing daily temperature checks.
Thank you for that. That's a really good question. So I'm going to jump in for the interest of time. Does anyone have any closing thoughts to send over that can't be sent via email?
Tal, if I may, just one quick thing. Let's everybody. We appreciate you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts today. Like Mary Quinn said earlier, I think she had to get off. Please send your best practices that you're trying to do with your own business, in addition to any questions for clarification that you may have. We'll use both of those to try and inform that final product that we'll be working on this week. So just wanted to throw that in there. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Good
Thank you, Tal.
to see your faces.
Thank you.
Thank you all.